again. This is the Celtic Forever podcast. And this weekend, we're back to domestic duty away to Livingston at the Tony Macaroni Stadium. And to go over the game and everything else Celtic, I've got our regular resident John with us to discuss everything. How are you doing today, John?
Aye, all right, Xander, how's yourself?
I am okay. After Tuesday night, we move on to domestic duty against Livingston. Tuesday night was a disappointment, but we move on to the league and we play Livingston. So I've got some stats here about Celtic and Livingston. First of all, the game is on Celtic TV and it's on Sky Sports as well. So if anybody wants to watch it, that's where we get to watch it. Livingston, they're sitting 7th in the league just now, so they're sitting mid-table. And the referee for the tomorrow's game is John Beaton. Some stats, if I'll go through some stats. Livingston are actually unbeaten this season in the Tony Macaroni Stadium. And the only game they've lost is to, surprise, guess who, John?
Rangers.
Rangers. It's the only defeat they've had, 4-0 defeat to Ibrox. And Celtic's last 5 games at the Tony Macaroni is going from the closest to the furthest away. 3-0 win in October 22, a 3-1 win in March 22, with a 1-0 defeat in September 21, a 2-each draw in January 21, and a 2-each draw in March 2020. So you're saying the other day, remember, we didn't have a great record before Ange came in. You were right, we've had quite a lot of draws at the Tony Macaroni Stadium.
Aye, we have. But obviously we've not got Ange anymore, so we can't go on about that. Rodgers, what was his record at Livingston? I can't remember, I should have looked that up, but I'm pretty sure he never did a great record at Livingston either.
Yeah, I looked it up. Livingston must have not been in the league the first season he was there, because it was only the second season I saw him. He had 1 win and 1 draw at the Tony Macaroni Stadium. So
all right. Well, that's good bit of research, because I'm too lazy for that stuff.
No, he done no bad. He had a 1 and a draw there. So he done no too bad. It was Neil Lennon that had the sort of like 2 defeats and 2 draws at Tony Macaroni. It wasn't a great run. That was round about the COVID time, obviously. But anyway, we move on to this weekend's game. Still looking at Livingston. Our top goal scorer is Bruce Anderson with 3 goals. He scored 3 goals this season. So hopefully our defence can take care of him. How do you think the game will go tomorrow afternoon, John?
I think Livingston are going to be up for it. I think when Celtic come to town, I think that Lee Martindale guy's always got his players up for it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the same with him. He's obviously a Rangers fan.
Aye.
But that's why you'll find that every time Livingston play them, it's always a scalping for them, you know.
Yeah.
And every time they play Celtic, it's blood and guts performance against Celtic every single time.
Yeah.
So we'll wait and see what happens there. Is Celtic going to have a European hangover? That's the thing you've got to worry about, isn't it? But generally speaking, after Champions League games, Celtic's went on to win their next domestic game.
Yeah.
They've got a good record at that. So if that's something to go by, Xander.
Yeah, well, hopefully, we have had a good record going into games after European games, and hopefully that continues. We're needing the 3 points. If you think about it, if we win tomorrow afternoon, we go 7 points clear ahead of Rangers. So that would put them under a wee bit of pressure going into the Motherwell game on Sunday. So hopefully we can do that. We'll go through the lineups, right? So starting with, we'll start with Celtic, obviously. We're not going to go through the Livingston lineup, but we'll go through the Celtic lineup. Starting for goalkeeper to attacker, John, what's your starting 11?
Oh. Well, back fours are going to be the same as the last back four that started domestically. I think he's going to give Big Nat Phillips will start tomorrow. Liam Scales.
Mm-hmm.
And no Andy Ralston, Alistair Johnson and Greg Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same back four that started the last domestic game.
Right.
Midfield. You were saying Hatate had a poor game in midweek in Europe. Is he going to get dropped? I'm thinking he's going to start the more away Turnbull.
Right.
Turnbull, McGregor, Matt O'Reilly. And up front, it's obviously going to be Kyogo. Dyson Maeda. And on the right, is it going to be Yang? Because he never played on Wednesday, did he? Yang? Tuesday, sorry.
No, he came on as a sub.
Aye, so I think he'll start with Yang tomorrow.
No. Well, I'll just quickly run through my 1 to 11. Joe Hart in goals, Greg Taylor left back, Alistair Johnson right back, Lagerbielke and Scales centre backs, Callum McGregor midfield. We've got Matt O'Reilly, and I'm going to go with Turnbull as well. And then he's going to play Maeda on the left, Yang on the right, and Kyogo for Ashley up front. That's my starting 11. I'll just quickly run through the betting for the Morris game. The betting gives you an idea of what the bookies think the result's going to be. So Livingston, they are at home, remember. So Livingston are 11 to 1 to win. The draw is 5 to 1, and a Celtic win is 3 to 10. So the bookmakers have made Celtic strong favourites.
Aye, that's overwhelming, isn't it?
That is, aye. 11 to 1 Livingston, considering they're unbeaten in the league.
Aye. Well, we'll see what happens, but that's overwhelming odds. That I do fancy Celtic tomorrow, to be honest with you. I think they'll bounce back after Europe. Well, obviously we can only hope they bounce back after Europe. But I've got a wee feeling we'll go there tomorrow and we'll get a wee win tomorrow.
Yeah. What time's kick-off, John? I've not checked that. Is it 12, half 12? It's on Sky Sports, so it must be an early kick-off.
I'm not sure. I'll just check that now, actually. 2 seconds.
All right. While you're doing that, I'll quickly run through Celtic's next 4 fixtures. So obviously tomorrow we've got Livingston away at Tony Macaroni, and then we've got Motherwell away following weekend, because obviously we're out of the League Cup, so there's no League Cup game for us.
That's a hard game, Motherwell away.
That is a hard game. Motherwell away, so it's Livingston away, Motherwell away. If we come into that with 6 points, well, we'll be doing well. We'll be looking good for the league title, I think. So it's Livingston away, Motherwell away, Latvia at home, and Kilmarnock at home. Well, looking at our rivals, because I always like to keep an eye on them to see what we're up against. They've got a really easy run of games. They've got Motherwell at home, Livingston in the Cup at home in midweek. Then they've got Aberdeen away, which is, I suppose that's quite a tough game, Aberdeen away. And then they're at home to Limassol in Europe, so they've got a slightly easier run.
Aye.
Did you find it, Vinny?
I was just checking at the time of the kick-off, the Morrisander. That's a 12:30 kick-off.
12:30, that's what I thought. I knew it'd be 12 or half 12, because it's always, if it's on the telly, it's always early, isn't it?
Aye. It's 12:30.
All right, mate. All right. We'll nearly finish there. We'll finish on some predictions for the game tomorrow. What you got? We'll go with you first. What do you think, John?
Well, it's neck and neck, innit, between us for the correct results this season.
Sure is, 2 each.
I want to win this one. Let's see. I'm going for a Celtic 2-0 win.
2-0.
2-0.
That's. I was looking at Livingston, how many goals they scored, so I've maybe cheated a wee bit. they've actually only scored 6 goals this season, so they're no free flowing in the scoring front.
No, they never have been free scoring though.
No, they never have. No, their victories have always been wee narrow 1-0, isn't they? So I'm not going to give Livingston a goal tomorrow either. I'm going to say 3-0. Celtic tomorrow. I think it'll be comfortable. It'll be comfortable. It'll not be comfortable until we score, if you know what I mean. Once we get the first goal, we'll start relaxing, we'll play our football, and we'll come out of there with a 3-0 away victory, which will put us 7 points clear in the SPL. So,
Well.
yeah, 3-0. You're going 2-0. We'll find it on Saturday night.
I'm hoping you're right, and I'm hoping you're wrong at the same time. I'm hoping I'm right. I'm hoping for the 2-0. 3. If you'll take 2, you'll surely take 3. Aye,
No,
that
well,
would be an ideal result. That'd be fantastic. It would be a good afternoon, plenty of goals. Let's hope that prediction comes true, Sander.
yeah, hope so, John. Hope so. And I'd even take a 1-0 now, obviously, but
Of course.
you know, plastic pitch, European hangover, all the travelling, the heavy legs in midweek, 9 men. You take all that into account, and you're still saying a 3-0. So yeah, I'm going with that. I'm going with 3-0. But as I say, any sort of victory, I'll take it. Anything else you want to add on the Livi game, John? Anything else before we move on?
No, well, the only thing, just to kind of finalise that game, Namora, it's, I says this to you in the last pod, the stadium's going to be full of Celtic fans, 3/4 full of Celtic fans. So that's as close to a home game as Celtic's going to get in the league. Away from home, I mean. So
yeah,
the fans are always in great form in Livingston as well. So let's hope the Celtic players turn up for the fans and give them a good day that they deserve, filling an away stadium, you know.
Yeah, I hope so. I think they will. I think they'll come out and they'll do the business. Hopefully, get an early goal tomorrow and settle the nerves. Get the 3 points. Get out of there and get back up the road. That's if everything goes smoothly. Hopefully, that's what happens. But you know, Livingston, they'll make it tough. They'll come out there. They'll defend. They've got big, bulky defenders. They can defend, unless it's against Rangers, obviously, which they lost 4 goals in the last game against Rangers.
Aye.
So, all right, mate. We'll leave it there. We'll leave the game there for the time being. We'll come back and do another podcast, post-match podcast, I'm sure. But let's look back to Tuesday night in the Champions League. I know I was a wee bit down on the post-match podcast. I was down because of the performance of the referee, the VAR, the Feyenoord players. It was really getting to me, you know. It just really annoyed me. The decisions that really went against us I thought was shocking. I still think it's shocking. Both red cards could have been looked at through VAR, and you know, the red cards stood. So that was disappointing. How you feeling? How you feeling now about Tuesday night, John?
It doesn't really bother me so much because I never seen it, if you know what I mean. If I'd have been sitting watching that game and watching it unfold, I would have had a stronger opinion on it. But for what I did see, obviously I'm shocked. And it does annoy you a bit when you see the red cards that were dished out to Celtic players. I still don't believe any of them were red cards. I've watched it again since. I still don't believe that Thiago Holm went in to injure a player intentionally. He's sliding along a wet grass. He tries to pull his leg out it, and it's a straight red. It's a disgusting decision, if you ask me. But I feel horrible about that. But I would have felt worse if I'd have watched the game. But I watched the Aberdeen game last night. I can't remember the Aberdeen boy. They went in for a tackle. No, I wanted Aberdeen to win, so I'm not getting on Aberdeen's case here. There was a far worse tackle with an Aberdeen player last night. Probably exactly the same as Thiago Holm type tackle. But the Aberdeen boys went in with a straight leg, caught the players, the player goes flying, and the Aberdeen player doesn't even get booked. And I wanted Aberdeen to win, so I'm not having a go at Aberdeen, I'm having a go at the ref here. No. The boy doesn't even get booked. And see the boy that he tackled, he's up complaining about it to the referee, and he get booked.
Aye. Well, the Thiago Holm's the one that that I'm thinking. You got to remember he's only in the park 3 or 4 minutes. It's his very first tackle in the game, And his leg was quite high. It was quite high, but it wasn't dangerously high. As you said, he was trying to pull out the tackle as well. You know, it's his first tackle. He's just on the park. Give the boy a break. Give him a yellow card. Give him a warning. You know, it's. I mean, I've heard people saying, "Oh, it was a red card." No, it wasn't. It
No,
wasn't a red card. For me, it was.
no.
It was nothing like a red card. Um, but it was just annoying.
I
And
just
then
wonder who it was you heard saying that. Is that the way
it
they
was
said it?
it's one of the other podcasts. I heard them saying it. It was we shouldn't have went in like that. You know, you've got to make your presence felt in these games. You know, he didn't go, as you say, he didn't go in with a straight leg with intention of injuring the player. He went in on a wet pitch, sliding in to try and win the ball. And sure, the referee could see that. He didn't need to flash that red card in the boy's face after 3 minutes of being on the park. Give him a warning, give him a yellow card, and I'll cut it out.
Aye.
Bielke one, that was even worse. You know, a brush of the arm inside the box, and the boy goes flying as if he's just been shot. Gets Bielke sent off. So to me, it's cheating. He's got him sent off, down to 10 men. Obviously, they missed the penalty, but that's not the point. We're down to 10 men at that point.
Aye. The
You know,
Lagerbielke ones, obviously, that's a lot. And that's just a disgrace, that getting a red card for that, sending a player off for that. It's nowhere near a booking offence. It's a defender making his body bigger. I was watching the Rangers game last night, and what's his name, the Rangers defender, Goldson, done exactly the same thing to a Betis player, and nothing happened. The ball went out the park, and they get a goal kick for it. Exactly the
yeah,
same thing. I mean, exact. If you watch it, it's exactly the same.
yeah. So I didn't watch their game, John, so I can't comment on it, but to hear that just annoys you even more because it sounds like it's different sets of rules, isn't it? Different
There's
rules,
different
you know.
sets of rules. Like I say, I watched the Aberdeen game last night and I watched the Rangers game. And both the games had very similar incidents to the Celtic game. And nothing happened to the players. Nothing at all.
Mm-hmm.
But the ref at the game against Feyenoord, I don't know. I don't know what the score was with that guy. He was just too card happy with Celtic players for some reason.
Yeah. No, he was definitely card happy. Yellow, not just red cards, yellow cards as well. Free kicks everywhere, you know, for the slightest wee brush, you know. So what we'll do, right? It's a new feature with the podcast. We're going to anybody that leaves a comment, we're going to bring it up, read it out, and we'll discuss it. So anybody that wants to leave a comment, please do so, and we'll bring it up in the next podcast. So here's a few comments from Tuesday night, John. Right, and give me your opinion on these. So first comment up is Mario Mano, is that? Yeah, Mario Mano. He says, not sure if I should consider it unfortunate that we lost or fortunate that we didn't end up more than 2-0. Or didn't end up more than 2-0. Penalty was incredibly soft. I agree. When we're lucky to come out there with 2-0, it keeps the scoreline down, it keeps the goal difference down, and obviously says the penalty was soft. You happy with just coming out there with 2-0, John?
Well, I said this will be the third time I've said this. We got out of there with our dignity intact, and we did that. That's all I can say on that, Xander. I think 2-0 with 9 players. You can't be happy with the scoreline, but for the fact that we did that with 9 players, kept the scoreline down, kept it respectable, and I think if we had 11 players on the park, that game would have finished a draw. So, aye, I think keeping the score down to 2-0 was the best thing we've done that night.
Aye, it kept the goal difference down, didn't it? Because if it goes to the last game against Feyenoord and we beat them 3-0, and if we beat them, we've got a chance to go through it. If we beat them 3-0, our head-to-head's better than theirs. That means we would go through. But obviously, that's a hypothetical situation. So keeping the score down was a bonus. It was the only bonus of the night. Next comment was for Jamaica Jira. He says, or she says, there wasn't much that could have been done about that first goal, in my opinion. But that penalty decision made me turn off the game. The fact that VAR reaffirmed the ref's decision is insane. That's just what we've been saying, John, isn't it? The fact that VAR didn't rescind that red card. They sent him off. They did it with both red cards, in fact. They looked at it and they agreed with the referee and sent both players off. So that boy turned the telly off. Didn't want to watch it after that.
Aye.
I
What's
didn't. Yeah,
his name?
I can. I don't. It's a funny name.
Jamako.
Jamaka Jury or something. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not
Whatever his name is, his comments absolutely spot on, because if I was watching the game, the whole game, and I missed it, I'll say for 100th time, but I'd be feeling exactly like that guy or that lassie just said there. He says he switched it off at the penalty. Unfortunately, I switched it on at the penalty when the internet started working. So that's the difference between me and that boy. I switched it. I eventually got it working right at the moment the penalty was given, and the fans were all waving at big Liga Bielke getting sent off. Joe Hart saves it. 2 seconds later, Holmes sent off, and that's when I switched it off.
Aye.
And I watched the highlights later on. That was it.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I did turn it off about 10 minutes to go, because obviously I wanted to watch as much of it as possible for the podcast, so I could make some comments on it.
Aye.
But it was hard to watch. That was, as you say, Dave, Feyenoord fans waving that boy off the park like that. He's just on the parkway. Is he 19 or something? And that's the way they're treating him. It's for a tackle. It was, in my opinion, a yellow card. I thought the Feyenoord players' antics as well were terrible. They're taking their time. I know you've never seen the game, John, but they were taking their time. They were going down easily, winning free kicks all over the park. Diving when they got the penalty, and then jumping up for joy when the penalty got awarded. The antics were quite poor. But we'll move on to the next comment, and this one is from Mad About Football. He or she says, penalty was disgusting. Red card ended the game. Boys were harshly treated. There's 3 comments that I totally agree with. What do you think of that, John?
The penalty was disgusting, first of all. I mean, that was just a disgrace. That decision was a disgrace. I'll keep saying it till I'm red in the face. It was an absolute disgrace. The red card did end the game. Of course, it ended the game. It was... well, it depends what red card you're talking about. You're talking about Liga Bielke one, I think he's talking about. It did end the game. The first red card ended the game. Once you get out 10 men, away from home against the Dutch champions, that's it, finished, really. All you can do is try and keep the score down. Aye, and of course it was harsh treatment for the referee on Celtic players. I don't know what he's got against Celtic, but he clearly had an agenda against Celtic.
Yeah. The red card did end the game, John, but see, even in saying that, the first red card, Celtic still came out and they were still attacking, still had a couple of wee chances for the 10 men, and then the referee just made 100% sure that Celtic were coming out of Feyenoord with nothing, with sending Thiago Holm off. Was it 4 minutes? I think it was 4 minutes after the first red card. What chance have you got? Honestly, what chance have you got? But I suppose Thiago Holm gave the referee a decision there to make, didn't he, by going in with the slide tackle in the first place. If he'd just stayed on his feet, he would have had no decision to make.
It's a good idea not to go to ground in Europe away from home. But it sounds like I'm sounding paranoid, but that referee definitely had an agenda against Celtic. There's no way that Liga Bielke penalty was a penalty and a sending off. There's no way in earth. You see 100 times worse in the penalty box with defenders stopping attackers getting forward. 100 times worse. The guy runs into the back of Liga Bielke for a start. Liga Bielke's got his back to him. Now, you could call it a trailing arm, throwing his arm back. Defenders do that all the time and don't get touched with referees. And VAR was a bigger disgrace because VAR did nothing about that. They've looked at that and went, aye, we agree, that's a sending off and a penalty. Yeah. So can you call it corruption or whatever? I don't know. There's something wasn't right about the officials in that whole game.
Yeah. And VAR as well was the same, as you. Well, that is the officials, I suppose. The referee in VAR had a shocker. Last comment I'm going to bring up is just a quick one for Paul McEwen. This boy Paul, he always messages after every podcast. So thanks, Paul, for doing that. I appreciate it. He just says hail hail to every Celtic supporter. So thanks, Paul, for messaging the podcast with every episode that we put out. Appreciate that, buddy.
Aye, hail Paul.
All right, mate. Paul McEwen, aye. So thanks for that, Paul. Hail, buddy. All right, we'll leave the Tuesday night's game there. We still sound a bit annoyed. Well, I'm definitely still a bit annoyed.
I was saying I was all right about it 5 minutes ago. Suddenly my face is beetroot red.
It does get to you, doesn't it?
It does get to you, aye. But I took my mind off it last night by watching the Aberdeen game. If you want to touch on that, 'cause I know you'd probably never seen the game last night, but I watched I watched the Aberdeen game last night, and I thought they played brilliant. They defended brilliantly. I thought they were unfortunate to get out of there with that defeat 2-1 against Frankfurter, who, as we'll remember, did us all a huge favour a couple of years ago in the UEFA Cup final. I can't remember who it was they were playing, but I was happy that night, boy.
I was a Frankfurter. Frankfurter.
Frankenfurter, what do they call it? Frankfurter.
Frankfurt. I was a Frankfurt supporter for a year after that game. I can't remember who they were playing either, to be honest with you, but it was a good game. And I had the time of my life that night. It was good fun. So, but I wasn't a Frankfurt supporter last night. I was well known Aberdeen. And did you say it finished 2-1 to Frankfurt, John?
It was 2-1 to Frankfurt, aye. But Aberdeen, they played well, defended really well. To me, I think Aberdeen look like they don't believe in themselves. See if they believed in themselves a wee bit better, just a wee bit more, I think they could have got a result there last night, a draw. Now, they were talking about Aberdeen getting absolutely hammered there last night. I think they were really good. They frustrated Frankfurt. Get my German teams mixed up here. They really frustrated them. They played manfully, and I think they did themselves proud just getting out there with a 2-1 result. But a quick word on the Frankfurt fans. Amazing.
Aye.
What an ultras section. The whole game. They've got a whole stand behind the goal. I think it's a lower tier behind the goals they've got. And they made some noise the whole night. Absolutely brilliant fans. So I was looking at that and thinking, why don't Celtic do that? You know, one of the stands behind the goals, make it a standing section with all the flags and all that waving behind the goals instead of sticking the fans in a wee corner.
Yeah, I think the Green Brigade have applied for that. Have they not? The stand behind the goals.
I would love to see it, Xander. It's one thing I would love to see at Celtic Park. The Green Brigade, but I can't speak of the Green Brigade behind one of the goals, preferably up at the old Celtic end. I think that would be amazing. I think that would be absolutely amazing.
That's where they've applied for the Green Brigade to go. Obviously, the stumbling blocks moving current season ticket holders there into different areas in the stadium. So they've applied for that. Obviously, there's no answer to that yet. But that's what they've applied for. So we'll watch our space for that one.
It needs to happen.
That would be good. That would be good. Aye.
That needs to happen, Xander, because the atmosphere that creates behind the goal is unbelievable. I mean, the Green Brigade are stuck in that curve, that wee corner. How many does that hold in there? Is it 3,000 or something like that? 2,000?
I think it's not much. Aye.
Get them behind the goal, lower tier, and that must be maybe what? Don't know how many thousand it holds in the lower tier there behind the goals. Maybe 6,000 or something like that. 8,000.
Yeah, something like that.
Because the Frankfurt fans had, I think their capacity was, I looked it up last night, 9,500 behind the goal.
There you go.
Standing section. Celtic Park's got a bigger capacity than Frankfurt. I think their stadium holds 51,000 or something like that. Celtic Park's obviously nearly 61,000.
Mm-hmm.
So they can make a bigger standing section for the Celtic fans.
Well, I know that the application's in process, and that's where we're at with that, John. But that is something that's ongoing. So hopefully that is something that will happen, because we need as great or as good an atmosphere at Celtic Park, especially in European nights, as we possibly can get. So if that comes through, then that'd be brilliant. But we'll watch our space with that one, John. That's something that's in the pipeline. Quickly run through Saturdays and Sundays fixtures, John. Right, we've got Livingston against Celtic at 12:30 tomorrow. Dundee against Kilmarnock. Hibs against St Johnstone. St Mirren against Hearts. And then on Sunday we've got Aberdeen against Ross County and Rangers against Motherwell, both at 3 o'clock. So that's your fixtures for the morrow. All right, mate. Is there anything you want to add?
No, that's all good to go. I've not even watched the Brendan Rodgers press conference yet. I normally watch that, and I haven't watched it yet, but I'll get into that today, see what Brendan's saying about it. But
well,
I've
if there's
only
anything
on you go.
On you go, John. If there's anything we need to discuss on that, we'll do that on the post-match podcast, because I've not heard any of these press conferences either. So we'll listen out for what he said on that, and if there's anything to report, we'll report it on the post-match podcast. Anything else, John, regarding the game tomorrow, or anything you want to add?
No, just let's hope the team show up. No hangover. We go out there and win 2-3-0. Make the fans happy. That's all we can hope for, Xander.
Yeah, that's it. And to be honest with you, I think that's what will happen. I think we'll come out of there tomorrow with the 3 points. Fingers crossed anyway. It'd be good to go 7 points clear, John, and put them under a wee bit of pressure, because that's what would happen if we went 7 points clear.
Aye, well, the Rangers have got to go and they've not got to go and play Motherwell. They're playing Motherwell at home. Mm-hmm. Some amount of games they get at home, by the way, isn't it?
No, it's because of the cup run and the European run. They also seem to be getting their home games just now. I mean, they play Livingston in the League Cup. I mean, look at the run they got in the League Cup. You know, unbelievable. All second and first division teams, and then they've got Livingston, who they just beat 4-0. They've got them at Ibrox in the is it the semi-final or the quarter-final? I'm not sure. But they're going to win that League Cup anyway, because there's no team in it. You know, that's theirs. That's theirs to lose, isn't it?
Aye, well, it doesn't help with the confidence teams like Betis showing up. Did you never seen the game? Our Betis were terrible, by the way. Absolutely shocking. That's the worst European team I've seen come to Scotland, and no, the worst European team, but you know what I mean. For teams with a name, like Betis is supposed to be a kind of maybe a bigger name in Europe, or a well-heard name in Europe, not a big team. But they were terrible, man. They were absolutely shocking. I don't know who that striker is. They go up front. He looks like he's running with a cow on his back. He's that slow. Hopeless. Absolutely hopeless.
Well, I know what it's like running with a cow in your back.
Aye, well, just ask a couple of the butcher boys. They'll tell you.
Right, mate. All right. Did you watch that game last night? Because obviously I didn't watch that either. I only watched them if I think they've got a chance of getting beat, and obviously I didn't think they would get beat, because I always look into whoever they're playing, and the Real Betis are in financial trouble. The highest signing was £3 million. They've just got pumped off Barcelona 6-0. They're sitting 10th in the league. You know, when you see that, you know that Rangers are going to win, especially at Ibrox, don't you?
That's the type of teams they get every season in Europe. All teams that are in trouble. I mean, that run to the UEFA Cup final, every team they played was in some sort of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Be it financial, be it injuries. That's all they got. But,
no, that's what they got. That's what they got last night.
That's what they got last night again. Aye, but I sound angry, but I just hate seeing them winning in Europe, because the way their fans were celebrating that beating that Dross team, and they were utter guff, by the way, Betis.
All right, John, we'll leave it there, right? good luck to the Hoops tomorrow against Livingston. You're predicting 2-0. I'm predicting 3-0. Hopefully, either one of them is true. And then we'll move on to the next game, which is against, who did I say it was again we're playing?
Motherwell away, was it?
Motherwell away. Aye, so it is. So an even tougher game. So hopefully come out of there with the points tomorrow. And we'll leave it there. All right, buddy. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate that, man.
Right, Xander, no problems. Always good speaking to you, mate, and I'll speak to you next time.
Okay, buddy. We'll see you in the post-match podcast. Cheers, John. Thanks for that.
See you, Xander. Hail, hail.
See you later. Hail, hail.